Recording started now. Hi everyone, my name is Grace. I am a representative for the We United Foundation, which is also the host for this kind of seminar on high school student summer experiences. So We United Foundation is a nonprofit charity that wants to connect youth with community service. So we really like pushing community service. And we also have an emphasis on providing leadership training for teens. So we provide many new leadership opportunities for basically all of our volunteers that join. So if you want to get involved with We United Foundation, you can go to weunitedfoundation.net, and then you can go to the Contact Us tab and send us an email, and we will get back to you and put you on an email list. So yeah. Now I want to introduce our speakers today. So starting off, we have Arthur Wang, who is a junior at Montgomery Blair High School, and also Cathy Shao, who is a senior at Holton Arms School. They'll both be sharing about their experiences in the medical field with internships and volunteering. So do you want to get started, Arthur?
All right, yeah, I'd be glad to. Just give me a second and I'll share the presentation.
Great.
All right, so we'll just be mainly talking about our experiences in high school, and it's not limited to the medical career, but both of us are going like in that direction. So a lot of it will be about information regarding that topic. And this is just a general overview of what both of us will be going over. I'll be going over like my background, my experiences, and what I did in high school, and what I think the impact was.
And then what I'll be going over is kind of what I do, the value and impact of what I do regarding this community service, and some personal stories.
Okay, so as a background, over the last 2 summers, I've been interning at an internship in JHU, or John Hopkins Medicine. And basically, what I've been doing is what working in a proteomics lab with a bunch of people who actually do like the in-person lab stuff, like pipetting, like collecting information about lab data. But I'm just using that information and also building a model on like based on computer and computer science. So really it's more of like a CS thing, but it's also really closely tied to sciences and medical background, just like in general. And over the past summer, I've also worked at the Shady Grove Hospital and a few clinics, just like face-to-face doctoring and like seeing what the schedules of doctors are. And so for the hospital, it's more of like working as like a receptionist person, or just like the bellboy. You're running around getting stuff for like other people. And you don't really see much of like what the doctors do, but you do see how like the nurses interact with the patients and how they interact with each other. So that was definitely a good experience because I got to work in the hospital. And lastly, I had other like medical related extracurriculars. Like I'm very focused in like biology and chemistry. And last year I participated in the USNCO, or the United States National Chemistry Olympiad. And here are some more in-depth details on that. So when I first started trying to do the lab, I reached out to a bunch of professors, maybe some that like I knew, but like mostly it was just like a cold email. And I ended up getting one that responded back and was interested to do like a little like in-person over call interview. And so basically what you have to do is you have to sort of like personalize like your emails when you're sending them out, like read a little bit about like the other person and like the professor that you want to like work under, and then like send out a bunch of resumes, and don't expect to get anything back, because the vast majority of the time all of them are like super busy, especially if they don't have like an official program listed. They sometimes, or like majority of times, won't even respond to you. So it's really like about quantity and also quality. um and for the resume and interview, the interview, at least from what I got from the professor that I was working under, she really prefers like students who are like motivated more than anything else. Because when you're working under a lab as a high schooler, like the people in there don't expect you to have like years and years of experience. They just need to see that you're willing to learn and that like you're really excited for this opportunity. And for the resume is not super important, but you should definitely like revise it and clear it up and make it like super short and easy for the person to read. And then working in the professional lab like environment was super interesting because I got to see like how each of these like PhD students or like graduate students interning here and even like full-time workers of this lab, they were going through like their lab processes. They were trying to publish like their papers, but like they were all still like very nice, accepting, and patient people, especially with me as someone coming in. I would try to help out, like ask them like, hey, is there anything I could help with? And they would like sit there and like spend time out of their busy day to like teach me how like each of these like instruments worked. And I'm just super grateful for that. And seeing how like everything worked in a lab environment was really like eye-opening for me. Um, and I got assigned surprisingly to like my own project for some reason. I thought like going into, or most of the time when you're going to internship, you're gonna be assigned to like someone else, right? And you'll be helping them out with like mm, things that like they want to like assign to you. So maybe they're doing like a full-on project of collecting data, but most of the time, or like for some aspects that like they trust you with, like maybe like doing some like little stuff, they'll give it to you and you won't have to worry about like planning or anything. But because like the Professor Jung, she gave me my own project, I had to worry about like managing like scheduling, when I wanted to get like the data by, like when I wanted to finish my like project of coding. It was a huge mess because not only did I have to factor in how much time everything took me personally, I also had to factor in like how long like the interpersonal stuff was. Like if I had finished a presentation or I had finished like my coding project, I would have to like email out or like reach out to them, but then like reach out to like other people in the lab, but they also have like schedules of their own. So sometimes like weeks after I've already finished a project, I can actually like present to like the people that I'm working under, and then they can like give me the next step forward. So I'd be wasting like a lot of time in between because I hadn't prepared for like this part of my internship where I had to wait and connect with like other people. But besides that, it all worked, like it all panned out pretty well. And I'm writing like a paper right now, even though I'm not like super like into it, or like not I'm interested in it, but like I'm not um completed or anything. And for the hospital and shadowing thing, I interacted with a lot of patients in the hospital, or no, in the shadowing, not in the hospital. I actually rarely interacted with a lot of the patients in the hospital because I'm mostly managing like things between nurses. Like I would work under like a central like receptionist lady, and she would like say, oh, we need to like close these tabs for these patients, or like we need to like open one up. And so I would have to like put like these papers in a binder and like bring them to nurses, or like just like fetch stuff for nurses, restock like medical gowns, like gloves, things like that. So I didn't actually get to see the patients that much in hospital, like in hospital work. But for shadowing, when it was one-to-one with a doctor and patient, I got to see much more of like the interactions between like the doctor and patient. I could see like how much the doctor spent, or like how much time the doctor spent on each patient, and like exactly how they were like interacting. And it was definitely much more of a relaxed environment than in a hospital, because in a clinic the doctor isn't bound by like what the hospital wants them to do, or like how many patients the hospital wants them to see in a single day. So if or like at least the person that I was shadowing under for most of the time, he preferred a more like relaxed schedule. So I could definitely see that um, working in the clinic for him was much easier and less stressful than working in a hospital. But it's not always that case. And seeing the doctor patient interactions in the clinic. Yeah, yeah. That was really eye-opening for me because a lot of the time I thought patients would come in, like maybe get their diagnosis or like get their treatment and immediately like go out. But then for the clinic, I could see like the little interactions that each doctor and patient had, and it was more casual than I had seen like anywhere else, like for hospital or even like other clinic doctors. And the workload and schedule wasn't that bad. The hospital I volunteer at is once a week, and like one shift at the night. So it's very manageable, but I think the hard part of that about that is like being consistently like available for that like shift, because it's more of like the consistency that matters for hospital volunteering than like how much you do it. And for the clinic, it was throughout like basically the entire day. So it was much heavier workload, not in terms of like how intense it was, but just like how long it was of an experience for me. From that, from like those two experiences, what I pulled away was that working in a clinic was definitely more freeing, but I feel like working in a hospital, you get to see more cases. And if you're more interested in like the actual medical part of the medical field, then I would definitely recommend like going to hospital work as opposed to clinical work.
So I guess it's my turn now,
Sorry.
but
Pause
like
for a
Grace
second.
said, my name is Cathy. Sorry, were you saying something?
I just want to say something real quick.
Oh, no
So
worries.
if you have any questions for Arthur, please save them in the end because we're gonna have like a Q&A session in the end, and then you'll send them in chat and I will tell you when. So yeah, go on, Kat.
So as Grace mentioned before, my name is Cathy and I'm a senior at Holton Arms. So thanks, Arthur. That was a really good presentation. So mine is a little different from kind of clinical and shadowing and lab work. But basically what I do is I work as an EMT, which stands for Emergency Medical Technician. And a lot of people probably don't know what EMT does, or what we do. So basically, whenever you call 911 or you're kind of on the highway, if you guys see like a vehicle with lights and sirens that speed past you on the highways, and you see ambulances, fire trucks, towers, engines, usually what's in those vehicles are EMTs and firefighters. So I work as an EMT, but I also work at a fire station. So my main job is to respond to 911 calls and serve the demands for healthcare in our community. And this kind of job is a really good experience for anybody who wants to kind of test the waters in the medical field and see whether or not you like patient care or not, whether or not you really like the nitty-gritty of the medicine. So I work as an EMT at my local fire department called Rockville Volunteer Fire Department Station 3, which is located in the middle of Rockville Town Center. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that big fire station before, but that's where I work. And my work schedule is kind of crazy. It's every Friday nights and every Saturday nights from 5 p.m. to 7 in the morning. But you can choose your shifts. I chose night shift, which is pretty exhausting, but you kind of get used to it. So we can go to the next slide, but this is just like a quick video of my team and I responding to a call for a stroke. So if you just want to click on it, I thought it was pretty cool. You can kind of really see like the lights and sirens. There's definitely kind of an adrenaline rush in this job. I love it so much. So kind of a big question is, why should you be an EMT? The work hours are crazy. It's really, really time consuming. Um, well, there you get a lot of valuable healthcare skills. So some skills I have learned throughout this entire journey was, you take EMT class for 6 months, you get an EMT certification, and you get a lot of firsthand patient care and communication, and you gain lots of perspectives. I have worked with a wide range of patient populations, such as seniors, animals, actually, pediatrics, neonates, homeless people, drunks, like just a bunch of wide variety of people. I've worked with stroke patients, people who have coded, just a lot of different kind of diseases, illnesses, and as an EMT, you get to treat and experience every single one of those. You also get to assist with advanced level skills. You get to work with paramedics, nurses, doctors, such as intubation, IVs, EKGs, and more. And as an EMT, what you're basically doing is you're responding to that 911 call. You're picking up that patient, interacting with them on scene, kind of transporting them via ambulance, and then dropping them off at the hospital where you do all your handoff reports, where you have to talk to the nurse, the doctors. So you kind of get really familiar with also the hospital setting and interacting with physicians as well and kind of the emergency department. But also, as an EMT, there are a lot of basic skills that we can do that we learn throughout that 6-month EMT class, such as administering oxygen, medications such as glucose and acetaminophen, and CPR. And you also get to be really familiar, like I said before, with emergency medicine and the emergency department and working firsthand with kind of a lot of medical professionals. And you also get to see kind of the good and bad in healthcare. And for example, like when you're treating these homeless people, you kind of get to see really kind of a large variety of perspectives and kind of all the not so pretty parts of medicine, not just lab work, not kind of just diagnosing or medicine. You also kind of see like the worst sides, quote unquote, of medicine. And so this will really let you know if you're truly passionate for medicine. And also a good information to know is that your EMT certification lasts for 3 whole years. So this is kind of like a really long-term extracurricular. And you also have not only a large impact on the community by literally saving lives, you also, for all these high schoolers, you get a lot of SSL hours. So me personally, I have 2,000 SSL hours right now just from this job. So if you're an underclassman right now, which I think most of you are, and you're wondering, what should I do for extracurriculars? I know I'm interested in medicine. I know I need to put something on my resume. I know I kind of want to explore this field, but I don't know where to start. I think EMT is a really, really good place to start because you kind of learn such a wide variety of skills, not only the medicine aspects, but you also get to learn kind of how to talk to people, how to work with people 10 times older than you. And me personally, this is a pretty male dominated field. So being a woman in this field is really impactful. And you also get a lot of SSL hours, which is definitely a bonus. So we can switch to personal experience now. And just to preface, in order to do this job, you do have to be 16 years or older. So I started my sophomore year, so I've been doing this for almost a year and a half, but kind of starting freshman year, trying to prepare for this is a really good way to kind of get started with the medicine extracurricular field. And how you apply is basically you just go to your local websites, kind of maybe go on Google Maps, search for any local fire stations near you. So I was closest to the Rockville Volunteer Fire Department, but you could be close to other local stations and just go on their website. They usually have an application, and you just click on that application link and sign up. And just include your resume. There will be some interviews, but the whole process is pretty simple and it's very straightforward, and it's totally, totally worth the experience and insights you get from this job. So my personal experience has been really, really amazing. I love my fire station and I love my shift. I'm Friday nights and sometimes Saturday nights shift. And I have gained so much valuable experience. It's more than just something to put on your resume. I have truly gained the experience of whether or not I would love to go to medicine. And right now I'm applying to colleges, and I found out that I love medicine so much through this job that I'm actually applying to BSMD programs, which means that if you get into these programs, you go straight to medical school. That's how confident I am. I really love medicine. And so throughout this experience, I was able to network a lot because my shift is made of mainly older individuals. So I would say the average age is like 25 and older. So there's a lot of medical professionals on my shift. At least there's tons of PAs, physicians. I know 3 people. They were actually one of my best friends, and they just got into medical school, and one who actually just finished his residency in family medicine. So you're kind of able to network with so many different people, people who are not just your age, but people who are also a lot older, people who have a lot more experience, and you're kind of just working side by side as coworkers, which I think is pretty cool. So actually, because of this networking, I was able to find some volunteer experiences at Suburban. I was able to shadow one of my friends who just finished his residency. I was able to talk to one of my friends' preceptor and follow them on their internship journey at Walter Reed. So I think it's a really cool opportunity to kind of just meet a bunch of different people experience even more different opportunities. And some ER doctors, when I drop off my patient, they talk to me and they're like, hey, I see that you're a high schooler working as an EMT. I think that's pretty cool. I'm a doctor at the ED. Are you interested in shadowing me? Just stuff like that. It's really amazing. Something to know is that this job is extremely time consuming. My EMT certification took alone probably about 6 whole months. Plus, you have to take hazmat class, PEEF class. If you're interested, maybe taking fire class, that's a whole like monster on its own. And it's also pretty emotionally challenging. Like I said before, you kind of see the really heavy negatives of medicine. You do see deaths, you do see unfortunate events, you do have to deal with like vomit, bodily fluids, kind of all that really gross sides of medicine. You do have to be really kind of aware. If you guys don't know, a lot of first responders do suffer with PTSD, and a lot of other trauma related mental illnesses. So just be aware of that before you kind of get into this field. I personally have seen a lot of difficult things I have to cope with, but everyone on your shift is going to help you, support you. There's a lot of resources that you can use to deal with mental health, PTSD, or other stress related mental illnesses, like I said. Everyone is just so supportive. You can see on the picture on the very left of this slide is me and my other rookies cooking dinner for the firefighters. So it's a very, really bonding experience. And my shift, I can confidently say, is like a family to me. So you meet a bunch of different people. You got to see a lot of different things. It's really, really rewarding. And I think colleges really value this experience. And if you're between that border of like, I'm a ninth grader, I don't know what to do. Am I interested in medicine? I kind of want to dip my toes in the water. This is, like I said before, a really, really good experience to do that. And you also get a lot more certifications. Beyond your EMT certification, you also get certified in CPR, BLS skills, BAP, ALS assistance. You get certified in hazmat and PEEF, which is personal protective equipment. So those are like 6 certifications. You can do even more. The fire station offers you a bunch of different classes you can take. And how to be a good worker in this environment is, like Arthur said, never be afraid to ask questions. People in this environment value people who are motivated to learn. So just constantly be asking questions. There's so much to learn. I know I still have so much to learn. It's like I see these paramedics administering 10 different medications. I want to know what they are, so I ask. So never be afraid to ask questions. Never be afraid to try new things. And this is a really tough environment. You're working with people probably 10 to 20 years older than you. This is a career for them. I'm simply a volunteer. So you have so much to learn. Just never be afraid to ask questions and keep on trying to practice, keep on trying to learn. And I think this is a really, really good start to a field in medicine. So I know that was a lot. And like Grace said before, we have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions for Arthur or me, you can go for it now, or if there's any in the chat.
Yeah, so Selena asked me, do you have to get the EMT certificate first to qualify for this job application?
Actually, no. So that's also the good thing is that when you're applying to those fire stations that I'm talking about, you don't have to have any background in anything. I applied as a 16-year-old having no idea how to work in the healthcare field at all. I just wanted to know. I was like, hey, this looks super cool. I see these ambulances racing down the street. I want to do that. So I just applied, no experience. And kind of they do the interview, submit your resume, they do a background check, and then they kind of accept you. And once you get accepted, the fire station pays the EMT class for you. So you don't even have to pay for it. You don't have to worry about the textbook. They get the uniform for you. You just need to kind of go through the process, listen to what they have to say, attend the orientation classes, and then they'll usually send out a massive email to everyone in the station, say, hey, there's this upcoming EMT class. Is anybody interested? And you just sign up for that class through the fire station and they pay for it for you, and then you get enrolled in that EMT class while you're still at the fire station. So it's super cool. They kind of set up everything for you. The fire station is trying to make you successful. No one is kind of against you throughout this entire process. I hope I made that answer kind of clear.
Yeah, Kathy, could you say again where exactly you did your fire station thing? And
Yeah, of course.
like other places as well that kind of offer a similar program?
Yeah, so I work at Rockville Volunteer Fire Department Station 3. So that's in the middle of Rockville Town Center. If you guys are from the DMV area, you should probably be kind of familiar where that is. And there's a bunch of different stations. So fire stations have their own individual response areas. So all the 911 calls I'm responding to, it's kind of in the Rockville-ish area, but then there's different stations. So there's one station for Gaithersburg, two stations for Bethesda, a couple stations in Germantown. So each station has their own response area. So there's a lot of different fire stations. And I'm pretty sure most fire stations accept volunteer applications. I know some are mainly career only, so we can't volunteer at those. But honestly, the best way to find out where to volunteer and how to kind of connect with them is just literally go on Google Maps, search up fire departments, go on their website and check if they're accepting volunteers, and then send in your application. I ended up submitting an application to Wheaton and Rockville, the two biggest volunteer stations in kind of the Maryland, Rockville-ish area. And both of them accepted me. Both of them are very friendly. So just kind of shoot your shot is all I have to say. Um, so Arthur, I have a question. So basically, I know you also talked about the whole quality and quantity and cold emailing with your laboratories. How many responses did you end up getting, and how many laboratories did you email?
I emailed around mm, like five or so laboratories. I actually was pretty lucky in only having to email like five to get a response. And I only got responses from the one I ended up interning at, which is from Professor John. She works at the proteomics lab, which like in John Hopkins, which is like a subsidiary lab of like the main John Hopkins hospital. And we mostly do like lab work there. But as I said before, there's also like a little bit of programming in there. So oftentimes for a lot of these medical jobs, there's been like a general shift to more of like online and coding in medicine. So even if you're like not super sure about like going into medicine or all that, or like you're more like interested in like the coding aspect of it, I would still like highly recommend like trying something out. Like something, it doesn't have to be like full send EMT. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm gonna apply to like an internship, but you should really just try like something medicine related, because for me at least, that was like a really eye-opening experience.
So do we have any more questions? Just feel free to ask. They don't have to be also like related to this. Since we are like seniors or juniors, we can also give you into some insight on how these activities have
One
impacted.
question I have for both of you is just like, how do you think what you learned in school contributed to like your specific internship or your specific job? You both can answer.
So Arthur, do you want to go first, or I can go first?
All right, you can go first.
So basically, I think in this kind of job, there's not really a lot of like academic aspects because I feel like school, especially like biology or chemistry, doesn't really teach you how to administer medications or kind of talk to patients. But I think one thing that school did help me with is kind of anatomy. I think learning about anatomy and biology has really helped me apply those skills in EMT class and in EMT in general. But I think that's about it, honestly. I think also learning to socialize also kind of helped me from school. But other than that, nothing that's like you can do EMT without any experiences or certain academic background.
Yeah, I would agree with that actually. For a lot of like the hospital volunteer and like the shadowing, especially like the in-person jobs, they don't really require any sort of like academic or school-linked background. You mostly go in there and you learn on the job as is for like any job, even as like you grow up and you like get like a degree and stuff. You go into a job not knowing most of the things that you need to know. You got your entire career, if you like obtain a job, you're going to need to learn on the job. But for like my internship lab, the one part that school did sort of help me was like understanding like the specific concepts that were like presented to me, because a lot of the things that we went over in like the proteomics lab was really focused and specific on like proteins and like mass spectrometry, And a bunch of these like terms I had no idea going in. Just like even the most basic like layman's terms that like everyone in the lab would use every single day. I had no idea. So on the first day I went before I went in, I just tried to like learn as much like vocabulary as possible. And when I went home like the following day, I tried to like, you know, list off, or like during the day I would list off like things that I didn't know. And when I went home, I would like research them again. And I think like learning biology and concepts like in biology and maybe a little bit of chemistry helped me to like more quickly understand those topics and terms. But besides that, I think even if I didn't know like chemistry or biology, it would just be slightly more work.
I think also just to add on to that, I do think this extracurricular actually helped me with school like more than the other way around. Because I think as an EMT, you kind of develop the ability to be really confident in what you do, because you kind of do have to be confident. You have to be able to think on the spot, which I think has helped me a lot through like tests, talking with teachers, initiating projects at my school. And also, what I found is right now I'm in the whole process of writing college essays. It's exhausting, by the way, so look forward to that. But this experience has been a really good topic throughout my entire like college essay writing experience, because you do see so much. So I have found myself consistently referencing back to this one experience throughout like my writing.
That's great. Thank you so much. So one more question I have is, what is your favorite part about what you've done this summer? So this to both of you. Just like what is like your favorite like experience or part of the job?
So I think my favorite part of the job is just like seeing the impact you have on people. I think my job is extremely rewarding. Like, this is another personal experience, but actually, a couple months ago, we had a pediatric code. So basically, what a code is someone's heart stops, basically, and this was for a 6-year-old. And it was like every time there's like a pediatric emergency, it's very stressful. But in the end, with a collaboration with the paramedics, we were able to actually get ROSC, which means return of spontaneous circulation or resuscitation of the 6-year-old. So I thought that was extremely rewarding, and the parents were extremely thankful, and just being able to see the impact that we made in the community. And also, as an EMT, you can send up a follow-up request, which basically means in about 1 or 2 months, the hospital will actually email back to you and talk to you about the patient that you just had. So the hospital ended up saying the kid was okay, which is very rare, actually. So I thought that was extremely rewarding. He was back to normal, and he actually gave us, like, their family wrote us a little letter, which was so cute. So I thought that was definitely one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, I have actually another specific moment from when I was volunteering at the hospital, actually. There's very little chances I get to talk to patients like face to face, but on one of those like occasions, um, a lady came up to me at the front desk and she saw that I was like ethnically Asian, right? And she was like this sweet, like little grandma who like was really tired from being in the hospital system for like, she said 3 weeks. She was in like the neurosurgery department. And she asked me, do you know how to speak Chinese? And I said, yeah, I know. And so basically all we did was like have a conversation. Like she asked me about like my age. Um, she told me I looked a lot like her son, just like small things like that. And I asked her about like parts of her life. It was really not like medical related at all, except maybe like the terrible situation that she was put in because of the hospital. Um, like she was just stuck in the system. But just talking to her, I could see that like her day got like so much brighter. She was so happy to have someone to talk to. And honestly, I was too, because it was nearing the end of my shift and it was an extremely long day. And just getting to talk to someone and seeing that you're making a difference was it made me so happy.
Yeah, those are both such sweet experiences. I think it's a big rewarding part of medicine. So I had someone ask me in chat what middle schoolers can do. So Kathy, you did mention that your EMT training is 16 and up, but I know that you've been interested in medicine for a long time. So is there any ways that you've been involved since middle school?
So wow, that's crazy that you're a middle schooler and you're already thinking about this. That's really impressive. I think like sixth grade I was still like eating grass, but that's a different story. So I actually started something in eighth grade. So this is kind of like middle school, but not really. It was also during COVID for me. But oh God, I feel so old. But there's this thing called EMR, which is kind of as you go up the ranks of EMS, EMR is kind of the lowest, and then you go through EMT, and then you become a paramedic, and then you become a physician, and you kind of just go up these ranks of EMS. So EMR is the very bottom basic certification, and you have to be 14 or older. And I used to work as an EMR. I still do actually, but that's mainly for 8th to 12th graders. And there's a program at Wheaton called the First Aid Unit where you get certified as an EMR. It's another application process, but I think it's a really good starting point if you want to go into EMS and medicine. And as an EMR, you don't ride on the ambulance, but you do get free ride-alongs actually. So they set you up for like maybe once a month to ride with an ambulance. But as an EMR, you primarily attend meetings to learn about healthcare skills. There's a 7-month class to get certified as an EMR, and you also get certified in CPR. Um, and basically, as an EMR, what you do is you sign up for different events and then you just staff a first aid tent for the event. So, for example, I know a couple of years ago we staffed Trump's inauguration actually as the first aid tent. We've done ABBA concerts, we've done Wolf Trap concerts, we've done the Cherry Blossom Festival, 4th of July fireworks at DC. So, basically, you just provide first aid at a tent. It's not as exciting as riding on the ambulance or working at a fire station, but I think it's a very good start. Um, and you do still kind of see a lot of medical stuff. So, for example, I think when I was a freshman in high school, we gave someone Narcan at a festival, I think. So it's still pretty cool. You still get to see a lot, and you get to be a lot younger, so 14. But I don't know if I know any opportunities for 7th graders or 6th graders. I think just enjoy your middle school years is what I have to say.
Arthur, do you have anything?
A lot of these things, yeah, I started when I was in high school. I wasn't even thinking about this in like middle school. I remember like as a seventh grader during like COVID, I would just like skip class and play Roblox on my iPad. But like what I would say most importantly, if you like want to go into this field and you're like super young like that, the most important thing is probably not like research or like knowing like the exact intricacies or of everything or like academics relating to the medical field. I feel like just try to get your hands on any sort of like physical experience like as soon as possible, because that'll really tell you like whether you enjoy like this field or not, more than anything like academics could tell you.
Yep, totally agree with that. And kind of just like if you're able to recognize you're interested in medicine at such a young age, I think you're off to a really good start. And I just put in the chat the title of the Explorers post. And it's if you just search up Wheaton Rescue Squad or Wheaton First Aid Unit, it should be the first link that appears, and the application link should be there. So yeah, any more questions?
I'm gonna give it a second, but thank you so much for doing this. Your presentations were both amazing, and I already can tell how much experience and how much like soft skills you've gained from each of your individual like opportunities. So if no one else has questions, I think we can end here. I want to emphasize, I did send this in the chat. This meeting will be recorded and it is uploaded on the We United Foundation YouTube. So if you came a little late or you want to go back and hear what one of our participants said, you can always go back to YouTube. So thank you so much for coming. Oh, I also do want to emphasize that there is another panel similar to this that it may be a week or maybe the next 2 weeks. So it will be advertised in the same method, same link, and it will be more about like humanity instead of medicine. So thank you so much. Okay,
Yeah, thank you so much.
thank you.